Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charleston, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is, will Kendrick Perkins be right about the Clippers East playoffs? So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, make sure you check out Dreamerspro Max, an online sports community. Place where you can go and start basketball discussions, chat live during games, which we'll be doing every single night during these playoffs, and some other cool things. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to check that out. We have that linked in the description below, and get 7 days of access. And also make sure you go ahead and click the join button to join the channel to receive loyalty badges. So whenever you leave a comment, you stand out from the crowd. So anyway, let me get into this topic here. So all of you guys know who Kendrick Perkins is, right? Some people love him, some people hate him, some people think he's hilarious. I feel all of those and above, right? Kendrick Perkins is a very interesting guy. Now, he works on ESPN, but he used to also be on Fox Sports, FS1. He was there as well, but now he works on ESPN. And to me personally, I think Kendrick Perkins is known for a few things. Number one, he's known for being very outspoken. You know his famous line that he always says, "Carry on, carry," you know how he says it. And it actually turned into like a mini segment that I saw them do on ESPN First Take, where they something where he said like "carry on," like a short segment where he spoke for like 30 seconds or a minute. And then I think they're trying to brand it into some kind of thing. Maybe they're planning on giving Kendrick Perkins his own show. Who knows, right? But for me, he's known to being very like straightforward. He's funny because he has a southern accent. No disrespect to any people from the South watching this video, but some of y'all got a very, very funny accent when y'all talk. And you listen to Kendrick Perkins, oh, let me address you like the numbers on the house. Like, that's hilarious. Come on, man. Like, so it's funny, right? He's very, very funny. But going into this season, many analysts have avoided talking about the Clippers. Now, we've been one of the few channels that has spent a considerable amount of time kind of, talking about this team this season, because I said that early on, we said that, listen, this team is not getting enough coverage on the big media platforms like ESPN and others. They rarely talk about them. And whenever they do talk about the Clippers, is usually something negative. The latest one has been that the Clippers are trying to avoid the Lakers in round one. That was the latest one, right? And it seemed to be a kind of a talking point that all of the major sports networks were running with. Clippers are afraid of the Lakers. Clippers are afraid of the Lakers. Now, let me just say this quickly before we continue. If you guys saw that last game that the Lakers played against the Golden State Warriors, ask yourself honestly, does that look like the team that the Clippers are afraid of? Now, some people may say, well, wait a minute. So if you guys were not afraid of them, that's why you want to play them in the first round. Listen, there was no mathematical way that the Clippers are going to play the Lakers in the first round. Last time I checked, the 3 or the 4 seed does not play the 7 seed. So when people are talking about they're dodging them, it makes no sense. But that was one of the storylines. Looking at the way the Lakers play, trust me, I don't think the Clippers are afraid of playing the Lakers, because I think the Clippers would be more of the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors only had one weapon to worry about, which is Stephen Curry. He was like a walking artillery. He was like a walking, like, I don't even know what you want to call him. He was like Iron Man or something like this, a war machine. He was just by himself. Clippers, that's not the case. Clippers have 8 players shooting over 40% from the 3. If you think they were having trouble trying to stick with Steph Curry, imagine trying to guard players on the floor that are bombing away threes from everyone on the court. Clippers are a completely different animal. So if they were having trouble with the Warriors, with just Stephen Curry, what do you think was going to happen with the Clippers? So I thought it was a bit funny that a lot of people were saying that. However, let me get back to this. So Kendrick Perkins, has been one of the few people that has had the courage to even speak about the Clippers, and he's been vocal when he has, right? He's come out there and he's had some strong views. Now, early in the season, when they weren't performing well, like when they had that 50-point loss to the Dallas Mavericks, which was very embarrassing, he was one of the people that came out and said, listen, these guys don't look serious and all of this and this and this. But to be fair, he's also come out and spoken in a very glowing way about the Clippers. So recently, let's say about 3 weeks ago, he was on Stephen A. Smith's show. Stephen A. Smith, who I know a lot of you now feel a certain way about, especially after Kwame Brown, the way he's just been like a demolition derby, just going out there tearing up everybody. But anyway, he was on the show, Stephen A. Smith's show, if I'm not mistaken, Stephen A.'s World or something like this, with Mike Wilbon. And they were on the show and they were talking about potential teams that can come out of the Western Conference as far as Western Conference favorites, right? So they were talking about this, and they asked Kendrick Perkins to give his take on who he feels is the team that has the best shot to come out of the Western Conference this season. So before I go too far, I want you guys to take a listen to what Kendrick Perkins had to say as far as who he believes is the best team in the Western Conference, who has the best odds to come out of the Western Conference. So take a listen.
We welcome in both Kendrick Perkins and Michael Wilbons. Now we bring in both of you guys. And listen, let's get to the first question. KP, the Clippers are 8-2 since Rondo joined the team. Where do you rank the Clippers in the West right now?
Number one, and they're the clear-cut favorites to come out of the Western Conference. And Stephen A., you know I've been telling you this for a while. The only thing that the Clippers were missing was a floor general and a leader. And they got that in Rajon Rondo, a guy that's going to help out Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, get guys into their spots, hold guys accountable. He's a coach on and off the floor, and he's going to help out Ty Lue. And most importantly, he's going to put that key into Paul George's back. We won't see that same thing happen that we saw in the bubble when Paul George had that little hissy fit of a thing in the bubble. We're not going to see that.
Now, in that soundbite, you can clearly hear Kendrick Perkins saying in a very flamboyant way that he believes that the Clippers are the team that are favored to come out of the Western Conference. Now, if you heard that entire clip, you'll hear Stephen A. Smith obviously disagree. You'll say it's the Lakers and so on and so forth, right? But Kendrick Perkins believes that the Clippers have the best chance to come out of the Western Conference, and he gave a few reasons. Number one, he spoke about Rondo, something that doesn't get mentioned enough. The addition of Rajon Rondo. I think when a lot of people talk about the Clippers, I don't even hear them mention Rondo, when all this time he was one of the guys that most people agreed that they needed. He spoke about what Rondo can bring to this team. Number one, he said that the addition of Rondo is going to help Paul George, right? And that's a major thing. Paul George has been the guy that's kind of been up and down. He's the guy that's going to really need to step up in a major way. And basically Perkins is saying that, listen, Kendrick Perkins is saying, listen, if Rajon Rondo's on the court with Paul George, there's no way Paul George can just completely get lost out there in the offense. He just goes cold. He can't get an easy look. So he feels like Rondo is going to help Paul George's game. Another thing is that Rondo has championship experience. He's won multiple titles. He's won one with the Boston Celtics, and just last year with the Los Angeles Lakers. And everyone that saw that Laker playoff run cannot dispute the fact that Rondo was an integral part to that team's success. There's no two ways about it. He played a major role in that team, capturing their 16th championship banner. So Rondo was there. He has a championship experience. Also, he's an extension of the coach on the floor. Rondo is very, very smart. He's a cerebral point guard. He studies the game at a very deep and intricate level. I think at one point he knew a play that the team was going to call out because he saw it that they ran that play the night before. It's like, what? Who goes that in depth? He's a very smart guy, and he believes that Rondo is going to help PG this year to kind of help him get through the playoffs with his, with his motivational words, and also with his play on the court. He can really assist this guy to really get him over the hump, and also possibly the fact that Rondo can go out there and hit some very big shots for this team. Now, there are two major things to kind of focus on. Number one, does Paul George show up? That's going to be the biggest question we all have, right? All of us are going to have our eyes glued on Paul George this year in the playoffs, and he's going to be the guy that we're all going to be looking at. And I think Kendrick Perkins is kind of taking that into account, and he's factoring in sort of what Rondo's going to bring to the floor as far as Paul George is concerned, because really he's the guy that we're going to have the big question mark about. So, is Kendrick Perkins right? It remains to be seen. We don't know yet. The playoffs are starting tomorrow, basically. Playoffs are starting tomorrow. So it remains to be seen if Kendrick Perkins is right. But as of now, this is what he thinks. He said that 3 weeks ago. I haven't heard him say anything otherwise since then. So we just have to see. So what I want to know from you guys is quite simple. Do you think Kendrick Perkins is right? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro. Wishing you guys an amazing day. Catch you guys on the next episode.